Hey everyone, what's going on? I went out and got a webcam, and no lie, I honestly did not realize that pretty much every webcam comes with a built-in microphone, and I can actually use this on my laptop instead of using my old computer. I think it was like $20 or something for this webcam. So hopefully the sound works. I tested it a little bit, it seemingly worked. It worked okay. It sure beats holding the microphone like I have been doing. It's just pretty funny. I was going to buy one for my desktop computer so I could have a webcam for these videos, and then I was like, what in the world? I could just use it on my laptop, because there's something wrong with the audio jack on my laptop. Ever since I came home one day and my laptop charger cord was cut, the computer hasn't worked right ever since. And like when you touch the trackpad when you're recording, it cracks like crazy, so obviously the cable inside there's messed up. And I tried taking it apart. It's just whatever. So enough rambling. I'm still trying to catch up. I'm skipping over the Batman post just because there's just so much information. I started it, and then it's so much information. I'm going to have to make like an hour-long video for that one. But I want to get through some of these other posts in regards to, the coded mainstream media, the reason we're getting these stories. If you haven't been following my channel, please go to the link description and watch the How to Gematria video. Everything I talk about in this video, it will make a lot more sense, and you'll have a better understanding of what I am talking about. Long story short, what Gematria is the practice of coding numbers into words, and it is something that is used by the people who rule over us. That's why our sports leagues are rigged this way. That's why our media, that's why they highlight things like this in the media. So just go watch that video. It will make a lot more sense to what I'm saying. So with all that being said, let's check out this post I have in regards to Dennis Rodman, how he just randomly all of a sudden decided to go back to North Korea right after the Golden State Warriors won the NBA Finals. And then all of a sudden we got the story of the Otto Warmbier being released and coming back, and then he ended up dying and whatnot. And it's all coded by the numbers. This is how the media does it here. The CNN article, they wrote, Dennis Rodman hopes to do something pretty positive in North Korea. And notice how they highlight something pretty positive. In Gematria, that equals 122, and it also equals 121 in the reverse reduced method. And that's in the video that I'm talking about, the How to Gematria video. I don't talk about the reverse method because it's something that we just kind of discovered within this past year, or since about the end of 2016, the beginning of 2017. But let me show you an example, because, these people love to do things like as above, so below. They love to do the reverse, the opposite, and everything. Look, and a lot of this stuff is based on God, We have 26 letters in our alphabet. God equals 26. But the word God, also in the reverse method, equals 55. And look at the word heaven. Heaven equals 55 in the regular way. And if you notice, God, the small way, in the regular way equals 17. And God equals the same as hell, the small way in the reverse method. Also, just want to point out, Satan equals 55, just like heaven. Not the reverse method, So how interesting. Even we got the word cloud equals 55. And, a lot of this stems back to what is called Kabbalah as well, which is basically they use this numbers, God coded the world with numbers, and if you can understand this system, then you can understand God, basically the infinity. I mean, just think about all the other languages. The Greek alphabet had a number associated with the letter. The Hebrew alphabet has a number associated with the letters. So how is ours any different? Maybe, we just weren't told this. And I've proved it numerous times, So anyway, in regards to this headline, just after the Golden State Warriors win, something pretty positive. It equals the same as, so Golden State equals 122, just like something pretty positive. And then Warriors equal 121, just like something pretty positive in the reverse method. And then they had just won the NBA Finals. Dennis Rodman, of course, wore number 91 when he played with the Chicago Bulls. And I even talked about him in a previous post in May, because there's this big space theme that is connected to the NBA Finals. Even John Glenn died 175 days before the NBA Finals began, and Golden State Warriors in the reverse method equal 175. And they beat the Cleveland Cavaliers by 35 points the same day that Eugene Cernan died, who was the last guy to walk on the moon. A whole bunch of stuff that I've covered. I'm not going to re-explain it, but on May 10th, we got the story about Moon Jae-in as the new president in South Korea, and I talked about how it reminded me of Dennis Rodman in Korea, and the number 91, rockets equal 91, space equals 91. If you've noticed, the Rockets have been pretty popular in the mainstream media as well, with James Harden getting the huge contract, and now they're supposedly trying to get Carmelo Anthony and whatnot. Trying to get Carmelo Anthony from the New York Knicks, and the Knicks are named after the hoax by Washington Irving, and then we had Kyrie Irving coming out saying he thought the earth is flat and whatnot. It's all interrelated in this space theme mix that I've been talking about for months now. So anyway, yeah, like I said, Rodman number 91, space equals 91, asteroid equals 91. I've been talking a lot about the Jesuits and how they're connected in here. The Society of Jesus equals 91 in the reduced reverse method. And pretty much everything that I have documented on my blog here, it seems it's all connected to that. They even have the Vatican, they control the Vatican Space Telescope or whatever called Lucifer. So anyway, on that day that Eugene Cernan died, the Warriors got their 35th win of the season over the Cavaliers, who scored 91 points, right? And they won by 35 points. They just got Kevin Durant this year, who wears number 35. His birthday exactly 35 weeks before the NBA Finals began. There's always Draymond Green drama. Draymond Green in that game hurt LeBron James when the Cavaliers had 35 points. Draymond Green, the 35th pick in the draft. Even the coaches, Tyronn Lue, board on May 3rd, which is best parts of the world. They're at his 3/5. And Mike Brown, who was the interim coach there for until, game 2 or 3 of the NBA Finals. He was born on March 5th, 3/5. Lots of 35 that was going on into this. Even the word Cernan equals 35. But NASA also equals 35. China equals 35. We've got a lot of stories about their space program being ramped up. World War III also equals 35 in Gematria. And I'll show you why that's important here in a little bit, but according to the Swiss records, Kim Jong-un was born 35 days after the NBA Finals began this year. But according to Dennis Rodman, it's a different date. Dennis Rodman says that he was born on January 8th. So he just turned 33 years old on January 8th, according to Dennis Rodman. And if you go from January 8th to the day that Dennis Rodman went back to North Korea this year, it's 156 days after Kim Jong-un's birthday. 156 is a super special number, important to things that are connected to 9/11. It's the 156 prime number is 911. Dennis Rodman played 911 career games. If you write out the word 33, it equals 156. And, 33 is a super important number in regards to Freemasonry. It's the highest degree of Scottish Rite Freemasonry. Jesus supposedly died at the age of 33. King James, the guy who got the Bible created in 1611, the King James Bible, a complete Freemason. That's why our nation's independence is 7-4. Masonic equals 74. Jesus, cross, Messiah, Joshua, Yeshua, they all equal 74. Muhammad. The only state that equals 74 is Oregon, the 33rd state. Our nation's independence, 7-4. Independence Day equals 74. Anyway, sorry, it's so hard to explain these things because there's so much involved. So hopefully I don't lose people. There's just so many other things that you get sidetracked with because you want to just re-explain everything all the time. But if you go from Kim Jong-un's birthday to Dennis Rodman's birthday, it's a span of 125 days. That's interesting because if you write out North Korea, it equals 125. And Dennis Rodman's also 22 years older than him. The word basketball equals 22. I also pointed out the date numerology, the day Dennis Rodman went was June 13th. 6 plus 13 plus 20 plus 17 equals 56. And Dennis Rodman is currently 56 years old right now. And in regards to him playing 911 games, 56 was a big number that is associated with 9/11 in a roundabout way. Osama bin Laden equals 56. President equals 56. Rockefeller equals 56. You know, the World Trade Center's proposed and approved by a Rockefeller. And in history, Adolf Hitler equals 56. Saddam Hussein equals 56. ISIS equals 56. Just think about that. The Declaration of Independence signed by 56 signers. John Hancock, the first one, he died age 56. The last one to die who signed it, Charles Carroll III, died exactly 56 years later. And in regards to the space theme connected to the number 175, and keep in mind, Pope Francis also equals 175 in the reverse gematria. But remember, Flight 175 hit the South Tower with exactly 56 passengers, exactly 56 minutes after taking off. And a lot of the stuff in regards to 9/11 was connected to the year 1968. If you write out 68, it equals 56. Dennis Rodman equals 68 in the reduced method. Chicago Bulls equals 68 in the reduced method. Basketball equals 68 in the reduced method. 1968 was the year 911 was made the emergency dialing code. It was 33 years before 2001. And the World Trade Center was also constructed that year on August 6th. That's when it began, August 6th of 68. In most parts of the world, they'd write it as 6/8 of 68. George Bush's birthday was 68 days before 9/11. He graduated Yale Skull and Bones in the year 68. I mean, it just goes on, you know. The book 1984 even came out, or 1984. It came out 68 years ago on 6/8, right? So 1984, 33 years ago, 68 years ago, that book came out on 6/8. And just think about the world that we live in right now. It is so much like 1984. It's undeniable. I also put Dennis Rodman's full name in here. Equals 84 at Gematria, just like where he went in North Korea. However you pronounce that. Pyongyang or whatever. 84. United States of America equals 84. Jesuit equals 84. Pope Francis, supposedly the first Jesuit pope. His name equals 68 in Gematria. Donald John Trump, 68. He went to Fordham University, a Jesuit university. I talked about Prince Charles, who will become King Charles if Queen Elizabeth dies. She's 91 years old right now. King Charles III equals 91, just like Society of Jesus and the reduced method. Queen Elizabeth being 91 years old. Anyway, Prince Charles equals 68. He's also 68 years old. He turned 68 on the night of the closest supermoon. The closest since the year 48, the year Israel declared its independence. And there's a lot more to go with that, you know. But why do you think we had World War II? It was to give Israel, you know, their own state. I also wouldn't doubt if he went on June 13th to North Korea, June 13th, because 613, which is the 112th prime number, and in pretty much everywhere else in the world, the emergency dialing code is 112, right? Instead of 911, 112. I wouldn't doubt if that's why he even went on 613. I also documented that his shirt is Potcoin. That's what he's promoting. Potcoin equals 312, this number I've talked about in regards to the angel Michael and how it's connected to the Jesuits. The word Pope equals 312. Pope Francis's real name, Jorge Mario Bergoglio, equals 312. A big number connected to the Jesuits. And he says he's there for basketball diplomacy, and that's it. That equals 114 in Gematria, just like Kim Jong-un, just like World War, just like Pearl Harbor, just like Holocaust. What are the odds all of them equal 114? So then, right after Dennis Rodman goes there, we get the story of Otto Warmbier. So what the big joke about this is, on the article that I read, look how they show you to pronounce his name. If it will load up here. Click off here. Maybe I can zoom in. I don't know what's wrong with it. Otto Warmbier, right? Worm. And think about that in regards to Dennis Rodman. If you know anything about basketball, his nickname is the Worm. And then Dennis Rodman saying, oh, he had nothing to do with Otto Warmbier's being released and everything else. You know, the Worm. And then Otto Warmbier being released. It is a complete joke, and I can't believe people don't catch on to stuff like this. I'm not going to play a clip of the video. They also showed a video of him fake crying and everything else. It's so stupid. If you were really going to be locked up for that long in North Korea and everything else, it's just an absolute joke. Like, it's complete fake. It's so obvious to me that it's fake. Nobody truly would cry like that if they knew that they were in super big trouble, you know? And if you notice, supposedly his family said the last time they saw him was this video of him crying and all that. And that was on February 29th of 2016, a leap day, right? A leap day, if you write out leap day, it equals 125, just like North Korea. And it was also the 60th day of the year. Otto Warmbier equals 60 in gematria. Also, in regards to 9/11, if you go from June 13th to 9/11, it's a span of 2 months, 29 days. Who knows? Just reminds me a lot of 2/29, the day that he supposedly, you know, his family last saw him and he was doing this fake crying stuff on the leap day. He's also 22 years old. Remember Dennis Rodman, 22 years older than Kim Jong-un. Basketball equals 22. If you write out 22, it equals 165. Otto Warmbier in the reverse method equals 165, just like Scottish Rite equals 165, Scottish Rite Freemasonry. I'm not going to go into it, but I was getting a whole bunch of copyright claims on some of my old videos in regards to Prince and whatever else. There was a ton of them for a month straight or so, and it was all about my video I put out about 22 Jump Street. And I put it out 165 days after the movie came out on the 165th day of the year. And think about 22 equals 165. It was connected to King Charles I. And the day I put that video out was the same day that his wife was born, Henrietta Maria of France. But moving on, I just wanted to point out that 165 was something that I was being shown a whole lot. Dennis Rodman even born on May 13th. Which was connected, interrelated into all of that stuff in regards to 165. If you go to my playlists, I have a playlist on a bunch of videos where YouTube give me copyright claims. You'll find it in there. You'll know what I'm talking about. So I also pointed out Otto Warmbier's full name, Otto Frederick Warmbier, equals 112 in gematria. Remember 112, the emergency dialing code. It's also super interesting in regards to him. There's a whole bunch of 12 stuff. I don't exactly know the full meaning of it, but Kenneth Bay was also released in connection to Dennis Rodman, and North Korea didn't tell the U.S. about Kenneth Bay's arrest until 12/21 of the year 2012, right? 12/21/12. Otto Warmbier, his birthday, 12/12, December 12th. Arrested age 21, the reflection of 12. And he was arrested on 1/2, which can be 2/1 or 1/2. Age 21, born on 12/12. His name equals 112. Kenneth Bay. They told us he was arrested on 12/21 of 12. He's also born in the year 68, just pointing that out. And Kenneth Bay and Otto Warmbier were also arrested 1 year, 12 days apart. Remember, his full name equals 112. So the last thing I pointed out in this post was that, you know, it came just after the Cavaliers lost, and then they let us know that Otto Warmbier went to the University of Virginia, who are the Cavaliers, right? And then he dies, and the Cavaliers lose, and then he comes back, and then he dies or whatever. And if you don't believe me that that's how they roll with things, last year in the college basketball tournament, remember the coach, Tony Bennett or whatever, he collapsed. The Virginia Cavaliers coach collapsed when they were playing Hampton. And you would think it would be bad for the Cavaliers, but they were playing Hampton, which is also in Virginia, which is where Allen Iverson went to college, which was connected to Philadelphia, which the Golden State Warriors originally from Philadelphia. And it also connected to, can't even remember, it goes back to Patrick Ewing. This is so much to remember, but it goes clear back to Patrick Ewing and Allen Iverson going to Georgetown. Allen Iverson equals 56. That's why he wore the number 3. 3 equals 56. Everything about him equals 56 in gematria. Even his coach, whatever it was, Larry Brown equals 56. So just wanted to point out that, the Dennis Rodman story, they were connecting it and showing us it was a tribute to the Golden State Warriors winning the NBA Finals. And it's also just a big joke to the Otto Warmbier thing because his name's the Worm, right? But he had nothing to do with it, supposedly. He had everything to do with it, I mean, honestly, it's all set up. He, whatever. I'm not saying he had everything to do with it, but you get what I'm saying. It's just a little puzzle, a secret joke. They do this all the time, constantly. And you know what? I'm going to leave my Angel Gabriel video in the link description as well, because Dennis Rodman being born on 5/13 is a day that is connected to what I was talking about in that video a whole lot in regards to the Angel Gabriel. And I also mentioned, I believe I mentioned in that video about how in a lot of movies and everything, they depict the Angel Gabriel as androgynous, right? Like Femi, whatever you want to call it. Like in the movie Constantine, Gabriel's even played by a woman actor, So, and just think about that in regards to Dennis Rodman. I don't know the full meaning behind it, but I'll leave a link to that one. It's like an hour long. A whole lot of interesting information in that video. But yeah, peace. I'm going to move on, try to make some other videos. I got to go get a fan. It's like 9,000 degrees in my house right now, so peace.